All right, so first and foremost, an incredible run for Danny Hurley of the Huskies these past 3 seasons. As for the Gators, Sean, as deep and as talented as anyone in the country, they were really pushed. How can a win like this impact them moving forward?
You need to have one of those games where, like, you're not supposed to win. And they were outplayed for a majority of the game tonight. But then Walter Clayton Jr., the first-team All-American, stepped up and played like it down the stretch. And in every great tournament run that you see a game where it's a nail-biter, something doesn't necessarily go well, you're not at your personal best, but you find a way to collectively come about and do it. Free throw step in by Martin, gets the offensive rebound, the dunk. It's the Clayton Jr. three-pointers going to his right. All those little things that Todd Golden needed out of his team, he was able to get down the stretch. That's what a heart of a champion shows up like. That's what UConn's been able to do the last 2 years. For the UConn Husky fans, it got done to you today by the Florida Gators.
It sets up an intriguing matchup because of just how close both of the games were. Maryland obviously pulled through, Florida pulled through. So now you've got both of those against each other. What part of that is like most intriguing to you?
Do you know how many points Maryland got off the bench tonight?
No, I'm sorry.
1, 2, that's it.
Oh.
So 70 came from their starting lineup. We've been talking about this all year long. KC does more raps than anybody in the history of ESPN with us on games.
Second to Zubin, maybe.
But the Crab 5, right? That's what, the starting 5. Those guys are phenomenal. But what happens when one of them gets in foul trouble? Or, Florida's pace of play tires them out and wears them out over the course of the game. That's a concern for me. Their depth has been a question mark for me all season long. Their starting 5 has not. Derik Queen is one of the best freshmen in the country, not because he made the shot tonight, because of how well he's played all season long. This is who Maryland has been all season long. They've been elite. I wonder in a game against Florida and the pacing in which they play, the only thing that scares me is the fact that they do not have any depth. And that depth, in some of their losses, has been a glaring differential between opponents' points off the bench production versus what Maryland's been able to get.
But also the tournament's exhausting. The tournament gets exhausting after a while.
I mean, I don't disagree with you, and I know Kevin would agree and you agree. These nights are great together, but you're right. It is a little late.
By the way, since the loss back on February 1st,
Your voice
Florida
sounds great, by the way.
is 14-1. In that league and in postseason play has been an incredible run. And so the Sweet 16 is set, and among the more noteworthy teams, Auburn, the #1 overall seed, still going. Their 30 wins, tying a school record. And that matchup with Michigan Friday could be a classic. Michigan's Danny Wolf was part of a Yale team that upset Auburn just a season ago. Each of the previous 2 seasons, John Calipari was KO'd in major upsets at Kentucky. But this season, he has 10th-seeded Arkansas into the round of 16. Just the second coach to bring 4 different programs this far, joining Lon Kruger. In the Midwest, we have an all-SEC matchup. Tennessee and Kentucky set to battle for a trip to the Elite Eight. It's the second time SEC teams are facing off in the Sweet 16. The other back in '86 between Kentucky and Alabama. And you can't forget Duke, who remains the betting favorite to win it all. It's their 30th Sweet 16 appearance. Their plus 67 scoring margin is tied for the 8th best all-time in the tournament through 2 games. Back with Sean Farnham here. That Bama-BYU game is going to be up and down, a track meet. Take the over now and don't regret it.
No doubt.
Which, of course, 2 teams going at it, both play a similar style, Sean. Who's more able to impose their will in this game?
I absolutely love this matchup. You look at the offensive efficiency, both rank inside the top 10 of college basketball all season long. You look at three-pointers made. We talk about three-pointers for BYU. They average 10.6. Alabama averages 10.3. Both ranked in the top 20 all season long. I think the biggest key is this. Who's going to value the ball more? Alabama was a little sloppy today against St. Mary's. Now, St. Mary's doesn't play at the same tempo. They weren't able to capitalize on it as much. BYU at times with Yagor Demon has really struggled in controlling the ball and not turning it over. Their turnover rate is much higher than it probably should be. However, Yagor in the last game that they just played only had 1 turnover. 8 assists, 1 turnover. That margin, if that stays the same, I think the size and the length can really contest the three-point shots. Yagor Demon is about 6'8". So guarding Mark Sears, you can gap up and give that little space and then contest those three-point shots. Very key for BYU in this game.
2 teams that get the ball out of the basket could be the most exciting game of the tournament. As for Kentucky, Tennessee, Sean, 14 SEC teams in the field. This was bound to happen. 7 get to the Sweet 16, by the way. Kentucky won in Knoxville and then in Rupp in the span of 14 days, late January to mid-February. What's something to watch for in this game?
Kentucky was phenomenal at defending and forcing Tennessee into shooting threes, meaning they took away the opportunity to score twos. They forced them into taking threes. Remember that game in Knoxville? They shot 45 three-point shots. In the 2 games against Kentucky, Tennessee shot 17% from 3. If they settle and they allow Kentucky to get them to have their guys they want to shoot three-point shots, they're going to struggle. The area Tennessee can exploit Kentucky is on the offensive glass. They dominated in second chance points in that game. But Tennessee's got to be more aggressive in their half-court sets. They've got to be able to get downhill on this Kentucky team and attack the rim and apply pressure to them to change the outcome from what we saw in the first 2 games.
Third meeting of the season between these two teams.